Most killers I've known carried their power in their shoulders. Muscle, speed, violence. But the most dangerous person in our unit didn't win fights with strength. She won them with math. They sent her to Iraq like she was an administrative mistake. Too small, too quiet, too academic for a team that hunted leaders. And then she looked at one enemy map, just one, and calmly told us, if we hit him where he thinks he's invisible, he won't even understand he's dead until it's over. That was the moment we stopped calling her the new girl and started calling her the strategist. I'm Gunnery Sergeant Caleb Rains, retired U.S. military, one of those men whose job title never fully matches what he actually did. In Iraq, we were assigned to a special operations task element that rotated in and out of hostile sectors like a shadow. Our mission was simple to describe and hard to survive. Find the leaders, cut the head, disappear before the body realized it was bleeding. We didn't chase street-level fighters. We chased the planners, the money men, the recruiters, the ones who ordered bombs over dinner and slept behind walls of loyal fear. But even in our world, where the stakes stayed high and sleep stayed low, we had a rule. No unknown variables. You keep the team tight. You keep the procedures familiar. You don't introduce anything you can't control. So when command told us a new specialist was joining our team, we were already irritated. Not because we were cruel, because we were alive. And we stayed alive by being cautious. Then she walked into our briefing room carrying a laptop and a notebook. Not a rifle, a notebook. That was unusual. Her name was Lena Ward, 24, pale from too much fluorescent light and not enough sun. Hair tied back in a clean, low bun. Eyes sharp and quiet, like she was watching a world nobody else could see. If you judged her by the way she looked, you'd assume she belonged in intelligence analysis, not in a unit that kicked doors and chased ghosts. She wasn't tall. She wasn't bulky. Her arms didn't scream Jim. And the first time my point man, Duke, saw her, he leaned toward me and whispered, "Gunny, is this a joke?" I didn't answer, because Lena didn't flinch. She walked straight to the table, opened her notebook, and waited like she wasn't intimidated by anything in the room. Not the weapons, not the scars, not the fact that every man there could break her in half. Our team lead, Captain Mason Cole, introduced her with that careful voice officers use when they're trying to sell you something you didn't ask for. This is Specialist Ward. Tactical planning support. Duke snorted. We planned just fine. Lena finally spoke. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. I'm not here to replace your planning, she said calmly. I'm here to reduce your unknowns. That got my attention. Duke raised an eyebrow. And how you going to do that? Lena slid a paper across the table. It was a timeline. Not a mission timeline, an enemy timeline. Routes, schedules, windows, decision patterns. She had taken 3 months of scattered intel reports and turned them into something that looked like the enemy was on a leash. We've been chasing the wrong pattern, she said. He doesn't move randomly. He moves like someone who believes he can predict you. Captain Cole leaned forward. Which target? Lena tapped the page. Abu Rihab, a high-level leader with a reputation for disappearing before we arrived. He'd built his myth on making us look slow. Duke scoffed. We've tried to grab him twice. He's a ghost. Lena looked up. No, she said. He's a routine. Abu Rihab was the kind of name that made people tired. Not scared, tired. Because every time someone got close, something went wrong. A leak, a wrong street, a false building, a delayed call. We lost good men on the edges of his operations. Not because he was a genius. Because he had time. And time lets bad people buy protection. We had his face. We had his voice. We had fragments of his network. But not the one thing that mattered. Certainty. Lena said she could give us certainty. That's a dangerous promise in war. Captain Cole asked the question all of us were thinking. Ward, he said, what makes you so sure? Lena didn't puff up. She didn't brag. She just opened her notebook and showed us the kind of thinking you can't fake. He shows up at 3 types of locations, she explained. Not because he likes them. Because they satisfy his security logic. She pointed to 3 categories. Medical access, for wounded or sick fighters. Financial exchange, to keep loyalty. Religious cover, to blend in. Then she drew a line through them. But there's a 4th, she said quietly. We watched. Lena tapped a small circle on the map that barely looked important. A delivery corridor, she said. A place where supplies move through without being questioned because everyone benefits from it. Duke frowned. So what? So, Lena said, leaders don't travel where they're safe. She paused. They travel where the system is so normal, no one thinks to suspect it. Captain Cole's eyes narrowed. You're saying he moves through logistics. Lena nodded. And if we treat him like a ghost, she continued, we'll keep chasing smoke. But if we treat him like a man who depends on routine, we can predict him. I remember a strange feeling in my chest. It wasn't excitement. It was respect forming against my will. Because that was the first time someone had explained Abu Rihab in a way that made him feel human. And humans can be caught. Lena didn't hand us a step-by-step assault blueprint. She did something smarter. She built a decision trap. She identified 3 actions we could take, subtle moves that would make Abu Rihab choose the route she wanted, without him realizing he was being guided. Captain Cole leaned back, studying her. You're telling me we don't chase him? He said. Lena's gaze didn't waver. We let him chase his own certainty, she replied. And we put the certainty where we want it. Duke looked like he wanted to argue, but even he couldn't find a clean counter. Then Lena dropped the sentence that made the room go silent. There's a leak, she said. Every head turned. Captain Cole's voice hardened. What? Lena slid another sheet forward. 2 failed operations, she said. Both compromised within the same window. The same type of delay. Same reaction pattern from the target. She tapped a name. An allied local liaison. Someone with access. He's not loyal, Lena said. He's scared. Or paid. Duke's hand tightened around his coffee cup. You sure? Lena nodded once. I'm not sure, she corrected. I'm consistent. That's when I realized what made her dangerous. She didn't need to be strong. She needed to be right. The operation kicked off under a moon that looked like a scraped coin. We moved out of the base in 2 vehicles with no markings, blending into the city's tired nighttime rhythm. No sirens. No drama. Just a team that didn't speak much because every word felt like a door opening. Lena sat between me and Duke in the back, wearing body armor that looked too heavy for her frame. Duke glanced at her. You okay, Ward? Lena didn't look up from her notes. I'm fine, she said. I did the math. That's calming. Duke snorted, but softer than before. Gunny, he muttered to me. If she's wrong, we're dead. I stared out at the dark streets. If she's right, I said, we stop being late. We reached an observation point overlooking the corridor Lena had predicted. We watched, waited, and the world did what it always does when you're trying to be invisible. It tested you. A vehicle rolled through the checkpoint ahead. Then another. Then a third. Nothing. Duke started to whisper. Told you. Lena raised her hand slightly. Wait, she said. Then, almost like the universe wanted to prove her point, a small convoy appeared. 2 trucks and a plain sedan tucked behind them like it didn't want to be noticed. And Lena whispered the words that made my blood run cold. That's him. Captain Cole turned. How do you know? Lena didn't even blink. Because the trucks are wrong, she said. What? The trucks are carrying medical supplies, Lena explained. But the route they're taking is the financial corridor. That mismatch only happens when someone with authority forces it. Then she pointed at the sedan. No plates, she said. And it's sitting too close to the second truck, using it as a shield. Duke exhaled, stunned. Holy! Lena's voice sharpened, calm but urgent. He thinks he's invisible. Captain Cole's eyes hardened. Move, he ordered. We moved. We shadowed the convoy through the industrial artery of the city, keeping distance, moving like a second set of headlights in the wrong mirror. The sedan didn't move like a normal vehicle. It stayed tucked behind the medical truck, never passing, never lagging. always positioned where incoming fire would hit the truck first. A human shield. Duke watched through optics and muttered, "Guy's paranoid." Lena didn't take her eyes off the route. "He's practiced." Captain Cole's voice came through the team net, low and controlled. "Ward, confirm route. Confirm window." Lena checked her watch like she was checking a heartbeat. "He'll peel off at the next junction," she said. "Not the obvious turn. The service lane behind the fuel depot." Cole paused. "That lane isn't on the map." Lena's tone didn't change. "That's why he likes it." I remember looking at her then, helmet shadowing her face, eyes steady, and thinking, she's not guessing. She's reading him like a book. We approached the junction, and Lena was right. The sedan slipped off the main road into a narrow service lane that looked like nothing. 2 concrete walls, a chain-link gate, and darkness. The medical trucks continued forward like they were just deliveries. The sedan was alone. Captain Cole whispered, "Now." We accelerated into the service lane behind it. This was the moment where plans usually die, when the enemy does something unexpected. And the enemy did. A second sedan appeared behind us. No lights, just a black shape blocking our exit. Ortega, our driver, swore. "We're boxed." Duke raised his rifle. "Ambush." I felt the air turn sharp. Lena's voice cut through the panic like a scalpel. "Don't shoot yet," she said. Captain Cole snapped. "Ward, why?" "Because it's not an ambush," she said. "It's a test." A pause. Then she added the sentence that saved us. "They don't know we're Americans." Silence. Then we heard it. Arabic voices from the rear sedan, arguing, tense but uncertain. They weren't attacking. They were verifying. The escort believed something was off, maybe the route, maybe timing, but they weren't sure what. Lena leaned forward from the back seat. "Let them see what they expect," she whispered. Cole's voice was tight. "Explain." Lena's eyes flicked to the dashboard. "They expect local security," she said. "Act like local security." Ortega swallowed. "How?" Lena pointed at the convoy's emergency light controls, small amber hazard strobes used by local contractors. "Turn those on," she said. "Slow down. Let them think we're part of the package." Ortega did it. Amber hazards flickered. We slowed. And just like that, the rear sedan stopped pressing. It backed off. Because to them, we suddenly looked like boring logistics security, not hunters. I stared at Lena. Duke whispered, almost reverent now, "She just hacked their brain." Lena didn't smile. She just said, "Keep breathing. The hard part's next." The service lane opened into an old fuel depot yard, rusted pipes, storage tanks, and a concrete maintenance building. The target sedan rolled to a stop near the building's shadow. 2 guards stepped out, then another, and then our target. Not in robes, not dramatic, just a man in a clean shirt and expensive watch, stepping onto cracked concrete like he owned the night. Abu Rihab, the myth, the ghost. He looked smaller than I expected. That's always the truth with monsters. In real life, they're just men. Captain Cole's voice was a whisper. "Take him." We moved, silent, fast. But the moment we shifted positions, Lena's head snapped up. Something in her eyes changed. "Stop," she breathed. Cole froze. "What?" Lena stared at the maintenance building. "There are no windows on that side," she whispered. Duke hissed, confused. "So?" Lena's voice tightened. "Then why is there light flickering inside it?" My stomach dropped. A trap. Not for the target. For anyone hunting him. The maintenance building wasn't empty. It was a kill box. Enemy shooters inside, waiting to turn the yard into a slaughterhouse the moment someone tried to engage. Abu Rihab wasn't just paranoid. He was prepared. Captain Cole's jaw clenched. "How many?" Lena watched the flicker pattern like she was watching code. "3, she said. "Maybe 4. Their light source is moving like someone adjusting optics." Duke whispered, "If we shoot the target, they'll shred us." Lena nodded once. "Yes." Cole's voice went hard. "Options." Lena's eyes stayed on the building. "We don't shoot first," she said. Duke bristled. "Then why are we here?" Lena looked at him, calm. Because we can still win, she said. We just win differently. Lena made a plan in seconds, because she'd already built 10 in her head. Abu Rihab expects an external hit, she whispered. He expects rifle fire, explosives, chaos. She pointed at the fuel tanks. But he's standing next to something he can't control. Captain Cole followed her gaze. Old storage tanks, corroded, patched, dangerous. Duke's eyes widened. You want us to blow the tanks? Lena shook her head. No. She pointed lower, at the pipes and the concrete footings. Disable the supports, she said. Not the tanks. The supports. Cole's voice sharpened. That drops the tank. Creates noise, Lena said. Creates dust. Creates confusion. And forces the shooters inside to reposition. I finished, understanding. Lena nodded. And if they reposition, she said, their muzzle flashes reveal them. Duke swallowed. That's insane. Lena's gaze didn't waver. It's controlled chaos, she said. The only kind we can survive. Captain Cole made the call. Execute. Ortega placed a small charge at the base of a support. We pulled back into shadow. My finger tightened on the trigger. Lena watched her stopwatch like she was conducting an orchestra. Now, she whispered. The charge popped. Sharp, contained. The support cracked. The tank didn't explode. It dropped hard, metal shrieking, concrete shattering, dust roaring upward like a storm. Abu Rihab's guards panicked, rifles snapping up. The maintenance building came alive, muzzle flashes strobing through the open doorway as shooters fired blindly into dust. And in that chaos, we finally saw them. 3 silhouettes inside. Exactly where Lena predicted. Duke engaged first, 2 controlled shots into the doorway. I fired on the second silhouette. Cole moved like a machine, cutting angles. The yard turned into violence. And in the middle of it, Abu Rihab ran. Exactly as Lena said he would. Not toward his guards. Toward the only safe route he trusted. The route Lena had already mapped. The sedan door slammed. The engine revved. Abu Rihab tried to escape through the rear service exit. But that exit was no longer an exit. It was a funnel. We had a prepositioned asset, an unseen barrier created not by brute force, but by psychology. A checkpoint that looked friendly because it looked routine. Abu Rihab slowed. He hesitated. That hesitation was his death. One shot, clean, final. The myth ended like a whisper. No speech. No dramatic fall. Just a man who believed he could outthink everyone. Outthought for the first time. We were about to exfil when Lena's eyes sharpened again. She looked at her notes, then at the convoy route. Her face went pale. Gunny, she whispered to me. The liaison. My stomach tightened. What about him? He was supposed to be at checkpoint 2, she said. He's not. Duke cursed. He ran. Lena shook her head slowly. No, she said. He didn't run. She looked at Captain Cole. He's calling someone, she said. And it's not us. That's when the radio burst to life with a new voice. Excited, aggressive. Enemy voice. They knew. They were coming. Fast. We had minutes, maybe less. Captain Cole snapped. Move. Exfil now. As we ran, Lena stayed behind for 1 second, staring at the burning yard like she was calculating something. Then she turned and ran with us. But her voice was quiet when she spoke. Captain, this was only the first head. Cole glanced at her. What do you mean? Lena's eyes were cold. I think, she said, someone higher is paying for them. And that was the true twist. Abu Rihab wasn't the end. He was the opening move. We didn't chase the liaison that night. That surprised some of the team. But Lena stopped us before adrenaline could turn into mistakes. He wants us emotional, she said while we moved through the extraction route. That's how he survives. He's already changed positions. Duke shook his head. We let him walk. Lena looked at him. No, we let him believe he walked. That was the difference. Anyone could hunt a man running. Only a strategist hunts a man who thinks he's safe. By the time we reached base, Lena already had a profile built, not of the liaison's loyalty, but of his fear. What made him sell information? Who he needed to impress? Who he thought controlled the future? She wasn't thinking about revenge. She was thinking about leverage. And that's when Captain Cole said it out loud for the first time. "You're not just planning missions," he told her. "You're planning people." Lena didn't deny it. "People are systems," she said. "They break the same way." Command authorized a follow-up. Officially, it was a cleanup operation. Unofficially, it was a test. They wanted to see if the girl who outplanned Abu Rihab could do it again. Different city, different name, same pattern. A financier, a recruiter, a man who never touched weapons but decided where they went. Most teams would have gone kinetic. Lena didn't. She asked for traffic data, fuel delivery schedules, cell tower handoff logs. Duke laughed. "You're going to kill him with spreadsheets?" Lena smiled faintly. "No, I'm going to make him late." She rerouted 3 supply chains with 1 anonymous call, shifted a prayer schedule by spreading a rumor that felt organic, and timed our insertion to the one moment his security detail would argue with each other. We never fired a shot. The target walked into a building we controlled. When he realized what was happening, he asked one question. "How did you know?" Lena answered honestly. "You followed your habits," she said, "not your instincts." That was the night the name spread. Not loudly, quietly, from unit to unit. The Great Strategist. The problem with success is that it teaches your enemies. By the 3rd operation, things changed. Routes shifted unpredictably. Decoys multiplied. False intel flooded our channels. Someone on the other side had started to learn from us. Lena noticed it immediately. "They're not panicking," she said during one briefing. "They're reorganizing." Captain Cole folded his arms. "Meaning?" "Meaning," Lena replied. "They've realized brute force doesn't beat us. So they're trying to outthink us." Duke snorted. "Good luck." Lena didn't laugh. "They only need to be right once," she said. That sentence stayed with me. Because that's what separates arrogance from discipline. And Lena was never arrogant. The worst mission came months later. A compound deep in hostile territory. A man tied to 3 different extremist networks. He never stayed longer than 12 hours anywhere. Intel said this was our window. Lena said it wasn't. "It's too perfect," she warned. "No noise. No friction." Command pushed back. "We've waited long enough." Lena didn't argue. She adapted. She built contingencies inside contingencies. And she was right. The compound was wired. Not to explode. To signal. The moment we breached, for separate cells mobilized toward us. A net closing. We fought our way out, barely. 2 wounded. 1 vehicle destroyed. As we extracted, Duke slammed his fist against the floor. "They learned," he growled. Lena nodded, pale but composed. "Yes," she said. "Which means we're close to the top." The last operation wasn't about a battlefield. It was about a meeting. A private gathering of men who never appeared in propaganda videos. Men who funded chaos from behind clean walls. Lena mapped the power dynamics like a chessboard. She didn't target the strongest. She targeted the center of gravity. The one man everyone deferred to without realizing it. We didn't need guns. We needed timing. Exposure. Proof. When the arrests happened, they were clean. Quiet. Surgical. No firefights. No martyrs. Just doors opening at dawn and men realizing their protection had evaporated. That was the day the network collapsed. Not because it was destroyed, but because it was understood. When it was over, Command wanted to decorate Lena. She declined the ceremony. "Credit attracts attention," she said. "Attention shortens lifespans." They promoted her anyway. Quietly. Within the unit, the respect was already there. Duke, who once questioned her existence, pulled her aside. "I was wrong," he said simply. Lena nodded. "You adapted." That was her version of forgiveness. "I've served with killers, heroes, and legends. But Lena Ward taught me something I didn't learn in 20 years of war. Strength doesn't always stand in the front. Sometimes it sits quietly, watches patterns, and ends wars without firing." They sent her to Iraq thinking she'd support our missions. Instead, she redesigned them. And when people ask me now who the most dangerous operator I ever met was, I don't talk about muscle. I talk about a woman with a notebook. Because the greatest weapon I ever saw was a mind that refused to miss. Some legends pull triggers. Others pull the strings that end wars. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Epic Recon Stories. Here we tell the missions that never made the headlines, the decisions made in silence, and the people who carried them. More stories are coming soon.